Hello, hello. Good afternoon, good evening, happy Friday. How y'all doing today? Everybody doing well? Are we good? Welcome back. Ooh, maybe that's why the volume has been so weird. Welcome back to another Friday. Let me know if it gets too loud. I just found something that was keeping my volume capped and may have been messing with the sound in the last few days. If it gets real loud, let me know. But welcome back, everybody. We've made it. We've made it to the final day, the end of the international break, the end of our drought in football of real games happening. We've made it. This felt like forever, man. And we have to do it again in about 4 weeks as well, which is honestly absolutely ridiculous. But few things to talk about today. There's some wonderful new stat things that I can use and look at, ways to compare teams and things like that I find really, really interesting. And we can take a look at very shortly here. We can look at very shortly. And then there's this cool tool. Someone tagged me in it last night. It's made by somebody who does follow me. And I was looking into it because we do all this fun like plotting of players and stuff on here, and this thing is cool. I mean, I gotta. It's an incredible visual. I have to figure it out kind of a bit to see what on earth it's like really looking at, but like what it's doing and make sure I understand it and how to use it and stuff. But damn, it's cool. So we're gonna play with that a little bit, play with some of the things here a little bit, because we were talking yesterday about how we, scout, how we look at the players. We were talking about the midfielders, who fits, who doesn't, what are the traits we're really looking for when it comes to the types of midfielders that we should sign, who do we want, and this tool looks incredible for that. We'll also do our squad vote for the day. Again, we want to look at it and say who do we want to start, and then I'll compare it to previous weeks and take a look and say, does it match up? How much has it changed? Because certainly it changes very, very often. It's almost surprisingly so. How often it actually changes, like on how what people think is the best team, what they want, and all of that. So I always find it fun to look at. No doubt about that. I'm just trying to find it so I can bring it to us at the end and look at what we voted for last time. So I'm all ready to go. But yes, welcome. I hope you're all doing fine on this Friday. Here's the thing: even though we know who the goalkeeper is going to be, that's not a reason not to vote. We want to vote for who we want. Remember, the intention with this is not to pick who we think Ruben Amorim is going to start, or no, in this case, who Ruben Amorim is going to start. Who do we as fans think is the best 11? And see if we start coming around, where does that evolve? Where does that change? How does that develop as the season goes on? That's the important thing, too. So that's why we do the vote. So I'll let everybody get in here, and then we'll get to our agenda here in a moment on everything we want to cover. So let me put up a little poll here. Please make sure to like the video and all of that as you make it in. Have you liked the video? No. Let's see. Well, let's see who votes for this one. Well, too many people do anyway, but some of you vote for it and then click like anyway, which is fine. As long as you're clicking like, that's okay. So glad I discovered your channel. Thank you. And by the way, for the members and such, I've been publishing videos early for you guys. I've kind of realized, all right, that's of course one of the advantages. Like, I've already done my match preview. It'll be out in the morning. For the members, it's already out. I've already done my Fantasy Premier League preview. And team and all of that, that's out in a few hours, but it's already out for members. So that's kind of the point of members. I realize you'll get a lot of little videos and things early. And I have a few other things that are in the works on transfers and things. So that'll publish early. So I appreciate you guys who are members and support. It means an awful lot. It's honestly, I've got to be quite honest. it's helping. Honestly, I have to be quite honest. Honestly, it means a lot being able to have the support to be able to do this. The more you have, the more I can do this, the more things that can go into all of this, and that means a lot. The mic is probably clipping. Hold on 2 seconds. I found a reason why it was too high, so I'm able to turn down the boost just a little, and we should be in just a slightly better range. So, all right, what is on our agenda today? Let me know if it keeps clipping or if we're okay, but it should be just a little bit better. Should be just a little bit better. Let's see. Team stats. I wanted to look at team stats. Honestly, I have to be honest, James. I mean, it's true, right? Like, you do have to be honest. Would you consider doing this full-time down the line? Look, if it grows the way that it's been growing, of course. Why wouldn't I? It would be great. It would be a lot of fun. I would love to. I have a lot of interest in this, a lot of passion, and if I could spend most of my time doing it, if I can someday, then that would be great. Of course, that would be the goal, and that's really down to me producing things you guys want to watch, and you guys watching and participating, even outside the window, especially during the window. It's already good enough. The rest of the year, I need some help. But adding in, that's, so if you're wondering, why are you doing all the pre-matches and the post-matches and the lives and the regular things? Well, it's because I do need, if I want to do this, I can't just exist around 3 months of the year. It's got to be all year, and it's been better, and I've been following more of that lately. But, I want to keep that going as well. So let's get into this because this is really interesting. Let's talk about some team stats for a second, okay? Let's take a look at this because I posted this on Twitter earlier, a little post on this, and I was looking at, the stats and the numbers, and I was going, you know what? Because so Data MB Pro now has this season in the books. You know what I mean? This season in the books. And it's actually, really interesting to see this. So I was trying to find all the possible stats we could look at to see, right? Because we looked at some of the things about the stats and the progress and all that, and it's like, yeah, a lot of it looks good. There's touches in the opposition box and there's XG. But then I found more on here now that they have this season, even though it's only been a few games. United have one of the best, so PPDA, passes per defensive actions. This is usually the standard measurement for how intense your press is and how good your press is. What this means is how many passes does the opponent have to make, or how many passes on average does the opponent make before you complete a defensive action, like a tackle, an interception, a duo win, a dispossession, something like that, right? So how often, how quickly are you interrupting? So if you go all the way up to Leeds, you can see that they don't press at all, which is hilarious considering all the years of Bielsa there. And you get an average of 19 passes before they are able to commit one defensive action. You can see the same with these clubs. Now, here's the funny part, all right? There was a hell of a big love-in for Glasner at Crystal Palace, and every time I look at the stats, I go, you guys don't realize that he's getting away with quite a lot there by nature of being at Crystal Palace, by being a team that sits in, pretty much plays purely on the break at all times. They're not very good. They're, it's like, oh, he does the same system and it's better than Amarim. How? In what way is it better? They're so easy to play against. They just have good weapons on the break. And it's that's just how Glasner plays. They have a midfielder in Adam Wharton who can kind of sit and spray that ball around to some good attackers who have a lot of threat in there. That's about it. They're not very good, and they haven't been very good, and a lot of their underlyings aren't very good either. But, let's not let that distract. But regardless, United are second in expected goals per 90 on this model, first in some models, but let's say second. And they're also second in passes for defensive action. So somewhere in between 8 and 9. They're compact attentionally, yeah, but trying to take a manager that plays really compact system and say, oh, come to United and just play expansive instead, it's not that simple. You know, he doesn't know, we don't have no evidence that someone like Glasner actually knows how to play the 3-4-3 in an expansive pressing way where we're actually seeing it right now. You know what I mean? Iraiola's far more impressive. I completely agree, by the way. Iraola to me is like mini Pochettino. Someone mentioned this to me the other day, and I agree with it. Like early Pochettino, when he went from Southampton to Tottenham, Iraola reminds me a lot of that. Actually, the more I've thought about it.
Job and learned my boss likes United. He told me he didn't like Omarim BC. The back five is too defensive. Rolling on the floor laughing emoji. Had to hold my tongue.
Yeah, appreciate that, Jaber. That is funny. I mean, look, it's an understandable kind of somewhat casual opinion, and it's fine. It's sometimes hard to undersee it without the ins and outs, but we'll get there. But anyway, you look at it and you say, you know, United are one of the best pressing teams, right? They're one of the best pressing teams, and you start to look at all these numbers and you go, shots on target, they're good. What else can we look at? Shots on target against. High shots on this. Remember, low is better. So you can see Leeds and Newcastle. You can see kind of how these guys play. All right, like for example, Leeds don't press. They just park super deep, hard to get shots off against them, and then they pray they can hit on the break. So they get very few shots and they concede very few shots, and they try to, which is fair enough for a newly promoted side. Being compact is good. Now Newcastle are compact defensively. They're very energetic, but they don't shoot like ever. You know what I mean? So if you want to look at what could we improve, and you can see it with Palace, it's the same thing. Like I said, they're just sitting super, super deep. Now, the more impressive ones is as you get over into this area, because if you have few shots and few shots on target, you're just parked deep and praying you can hit on the break. When you get over into this area, high shots on target and low shots per 90. Well, we could improve. We could improve on getting on receiving a little bit less pressure, but we're still below the average. That's good. Obviously, this is where you go, this is why Liverpool keep winning, to be honest. Despite everything else going on, they allow very few shots and they get a lot of shots. And at the end of the day, that is going to make a huge difference, frankly. It's going to make a huge difference to just winning games. But then you also look at City. City are one of the worst teams in the league. They're tied, by the way, for the worst teams in the league for shots on target against this season. There's a real opportunity for us here, where I'm going to just clip this really quick, where like if you look at, I wanted to show this, like it's really interesting. Shots on target and passes per defensive action. So you want to be down in this corner, right? Ideally. City are bad. Like, they're mediocre pressers and they allow a lot of shots against them. Like, why do I feel like we should slap them around? Like, honestly, why do I feel like we should slap them around? It's like, it's weird. Like it's crazy to think that way, but it's how I feel right now. We should be slapping Man City around. We should be destroying them, Yeah, of course it's very early. Look, but I'm just talking about what we've done in 3 games. Obviously, we want to see us keep this up, but what we've done so far has good implications. It's very, very early. And each game is going to change all of that. But I think there are certain things that don't happen by accident, and one of them is pressing. Like, what I'm saying about that is, like, you can't really, like, it's certainly too early, but we're not making predictions for the rest of the league. We're talking about how we've played so far this season. You know what I mean? And one of the things about this is that, specifically the pressing stat, why it stands out to me, is because you can't, like, accidentally press. Okay, Rangnick said you do a little, you can't do a little pressing. You can be a little bit pregnant, but where he got it wrong, or where he was where his analogy breaks down. You totally can accidentally get pregnant. Not really, by the way. I mean, you kind of knew what you were doing to get accidentally pregnant. You knew what you were doing. But even if accidents happen, like 90% of it was probably not an accident, for the most part. You can't accidentally press well. You know what I mean? You just can't. You actually cannot accidentally press well, because pressing is kind of like one of the few things you have to do that is purely based on, full organization and coordination of the team. You can miss shots and you can hit shots and you can score chances that are tough and you can do things like that. But like, plan B exists for, well, for sure. But what I'm saying is that like, you can't accidentally press. It's like, oops, didn't mean to, just took a shot and accidentally pressed. You know what I mean? You can't. I'm sorry, you can't. You literally cannot. There's no way to accidentally be good at pressing. There's no way to get lucky on your pressing. Pressing is pressing is fully intentional. No, I know he didn't say that. I'm just doing the pregnancy, analogy. You know what I mean? But like, this isn't social commentary. I'm just saying, like, everybody knows how you get pregnant. So everybody knows how you press. If you're doing the things to create a good press, you can say we got lucky or you got unlucky and you got pregnant, but you still did a lot of the stuff. Like there is, you still did a lot of the stuff that created a good press, just like you still did a lot of the stuff that led to a pregnancy, whether there's a little bit at the end maybe, but you had to get through all the prior steps up to that point, which is quite a few. So I think United are good in this front. I think they've done really, really well to do this. I don't think it can be an accident. Not everyone knows. Well, I think most people know. I should hope by now if they're watching. You're a visual learner. No. No. Because I'm not doing social commentary. That's not what we're doing right now. It's not even intended. It's just like, you knew up to a point at least, you know what I mean? Like little things could happen, but all the other stuff is intentional. So I think that has to be on the coaching ground. You know what I mean? It has to be on the coaching ground. Like there's time, I'll give you an example, football examples, right? There's times United have conceded a low amount of goals. Why? Pretty much accidentally, because it's been De Gea bailing us out, saving shitloads of shots and things like that, right? You can be accidentally conceding a lot of goals. You know what I'm saying? You conceding not a lot of goals. You can do that accidentally because one player is doing everything. A press is a team coordinated effort that starts at in the front, matches up to the middle and at the back. You can't be disjointed or the press doesn't work. It's like one of the few things even in build-up, even in chance creation, even in goals, all of that, a lot of it can be not accidental, but it can be individualized. You know what I'm saying? You can just pray and send long balls and get in behind and score a lot of goals. We've done it. You know what I mean? And it can be individual. Let's call them individual brilliance. There is no such thing as individual brilliant pressing. It doesn't exist, right? Would you agree with that? There's no such thing as individual pressing brilliance where one guy makes the whole press work. And it's because one guy's pressing well that the press is good. No. That's not it. It has to be the team. It has to be everybody working together to get a press done. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. It is a team effort. So you can't accident your way, into a good press. And those are the things that are impressive to me. This one's kind of a funny stat. It's almost useless because you get teams that defend deep that have really high numbers there. Aerial duel winning percentage. Are we good in the air? I wish there was like a second ball thing. Now, one of the things City are good at is winning balls in the air. So we're probably going to have to play through them, not direct. Yeah. Tevez used to be like that. I don't know. You press as a team, it's a total. Yeah, exactly. We've seen it. We've seen it for years where we have not been able to press, in general well because we've had uncoordinated press and things like that. And no, it isn't just Burnley. I mean, when you look at the stats, they have to average out somewhere. one of the things I wanted to show, look, I know it's early, but I just wanted to show this little, like, it's intriguing. This little thing, okay, which is to me interesting, just to show, like, this was the year before. This is Ten Hag's second season. This is the last season, and this is this season. So, like, each year so far, the press is getting a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. Similarly, we're sort of clawing back to start. There's signs of progress. One of the things we've brought back that I think is important this season so far is fast attacks, right? We have to be able to fast attack. Now, again, yes, it's early, but so far in those 3 games, we have been hitting fast on the counter. We have, but we're doing so while also maintaining higher possession, defending, and pressing. So it's not sitting in deep and going long on the counter, but actually, controlling the game and manipulating those kinds of counters. So it's cool to see it. If you look at Liverpool, they do some of the same, even though they've actually dropped off their pressing. Like, if you look at them this season, they always have been a fast kind of counter-attacking team. So I've just found the stats rather interesting to look at so far, because it tells me, we're actually progressing in the way that we want. How are Liverpool in the right areas? They've looked mediocre. The thing about Liverpool is, no matter what they've looked like, what do they get done? They do stop a lot of shots, and they get a lot of shots. At the end of the day, they're still very good in either third. They've kind of struggled in the middle. They've struggled with controlling the game to a degree to the level that they have before. Their press hasn't been great, as we saw, like, their press is lower. But why are Liverpool so good? They're still so dynamic in attack. Their front line is still insane. You know what I mean? And it's even better. Obviously, they've just brought in Isak and all of that. But their front line is still so good. And then defensively, they still defend their box very well. That's it. Sometimes that's all it takes. That's why it's like one of those interesting things where they're kind of losing the middle thirds, but they're winning the first and third. You know what I mean? And that's sometimes all it takes to win games. So, yeah, that's kind of it. Now, check this out. This is a hell of a tool. This is pretty cool. So someone brought this up the other day, sent it to me because it was launched by somebody here on Twitter, and this is called Lens app. Okay, it looks incredibly futuristic, but if you look at what it asks you to do, it says, hey, take all these positions, highlight your composite metrics, select all of these things. So, like, we were talking about a 6 the other day, and I was saying take on ability, long passing, deep build up, like all of these things that we kind of talk about and weight it. How important is it? You know what I mean? I apologize if you can't see it all. It's not really built for a small screen yet. But it's cool, man. And then you go like, all right, what position, what league do you want to look at? All of that. And then it does some crazy stuff. Hold on. It does some crazy stuff. Like, again, it's not really made for this small screen, so some of this is like wild. But then it'll spit out names, and it's like, okay, cool. So this is what you want. Like, there's Caicedo spit out as like number 1 as the most qualified player for this. And then some of it's not like all loading. I'm not promoting this, by the way. I'm not sponsored by this or anyway, but it's a really cool tool, and I wanted to test it. But it looks really cool because essentially it's called Lens. I'll post a link in a minute, all right? But essentially you do all this and what their rating is. So he rates really high in ball winning, aerial ability. Like, I weighted these things high. That's why he's showing up. So it's giving us a summation, that spits out the right players. Lavia, obviously, again, like with anything, you want to look into it because Lavia hasn't been fit. But when you look at it, he does match ball retention, aerial ability, take on ability, a lot of these things, like how you want to match it. So if I look at this and go, this is cool, but I would say it's giving me a few too many. Then you go like, you get Baleba here at 6. And what does it rate him for? Carrying ability, take on ability, His long range passing is okay. Where does he rate really high? Ball winning, anticipation. So if I were to say, I selected Premier League players. So if I were to say like, hey, I care about maybe take-ons a bit less. Ball winning's like number one. It's my top priority. I want him to be good in the air. I don't care about finishing, playmaking. Like I want a serious ball winning, anticipation, and tackling. That's what I want number one. Boom. And then you look at it and you go, all right, cool. Who is it matching? So I'm changing my priorities a little bit. And there you go. It still spits out Moise Caicedo because he's the best number 6 in the league right now, right? And then you go, all right, Mats Wiefer keeps showing up here. Well, why? Because he's 100th percentile for ball-winning tackling, a ball-winning anticipation, and a whole bunch of other shit. He just statistically looks really good. Then you've got Somare. There's Baleba at number 4. Gravenberch, and so it's kind of changed the order a little bit of who Sanderberg at 5. So you're looking at that and you're going, damn, all right, let's say the only thing I cared about was ball winning. Forget the rest of this. And I was like, I'm just going for like a pure destroyer. I haven't played with all of this, so I'm quite curious as to how it looks when you kind of spit these things all in. If I just wanted like a pure destroyer, great destroyer who's good in the air, who's it giving me? Well, it's still giving me a lot of the same guys, but Baleba keeps getting higher and higher up as I go for more defensive statistics. So, yeah, it does different leagues. Look, I could do any league, all right, and apply it, and now it's going to analyze just loads of players to put this together. So you can do like anything. So it'll say like Wiefer, Zachariah, Caicedo, Matsuisa, getting that wrong. And it's just Agume, there you go. Anton Stack, Ekwa, like it's pulling up some crazy name, not crazy names, but like a lot of different names here in terms of what we're looking for. And then you can do multiple positions. So let's say we felt like, all right, maybe it's not picking up the guys we want. Let's go to Premier League. I'm playing with this now with you guys while we're doing this because it's cool, man. It is cool. Let me go back to this and see if I got the CMs as well and say, okay, I want center mids, who can do all this. And let's see. And then there's like a different measurement. Federico Valverde, there you go. Like if I add center mids in and João Neves, there you go. So they might have been qualified as center mids. So now I'm liking it because yes, these would be like perfect players if you didn't have to tilt your head every time. Why do you have to tilt your head? Oh, because of the sideways? Yeah, I hear that. I'll message the guy and give feedback. I just commented. I'm just telling, like, I'm not promoting this. I literally just saw it the other day. I said I'd try it on Twitter in a comment, and I'm trying it. But that's good feedback to have. So, like, this is a weighted score. But we could switch it to the Z-score analysis. I wonder how does that change things? Because that's like an average. You know what I mean? That's like measuring it all as an average. Maybe this is going to give us more specific matches to exactly what we want. You know what I mean? So if we did that, I'm curious what happens if we go back to the center mids and we go defensive midfielders, Premier League kind of destroyers. What does it spit out for us? I have to learn. I'm trying to learn too. But here, let me copy the link in because you guys can all go mess with this whenever you want. It's open. I mean, we might hug it to death, but like. There you go. Like we go Z-score. Now we're looking at destroyers like Wiefer, Caicedo, Baleba, Bentancur. Yeah, there we go. All right, this is cool. So yeah, I don't know how all of it's weighted. I'll be honest with you, I don't. But let's say we went the other way and we said, hey, I want center mids. Sanderberg, yeah. There's Adams and I wonder how does Ugarte show up on here? Maybe because he's not showing up on this measurement. You know why? I bet you this is for this season. No, it can't be. It has minimum 90s played. I'm wondering if it's pulling for this season. I'm just wondering why it wouldn't have him. There are archetypes down at the bottom. Oh yeah, look at that. Like match, it gives you the percentage of match. And then there's this stuff which again works better in like all phases, elite sixes. You getting Caicedo down there. Anyway, you can look at it kind of this way too. It just doesn't look good on the small screen because it shrinks everything. which I'm sure he'll work on. But if we were to go to center mids, and we were talking about this the other day, and you want, all right, a decent passer, they have to be good at long passing, good at build up, ball winning, optional. Ball retention, decent. Aerial ability, okay. Finishing, good. Playmaking ability, decent. Crossing ability, don't particularly care. Let's say we were to start going this direction. Let's see what it does. Yeah, if it's on your screen, it's normal. The thing is, I have it shrunk so I can share it on the screen, and it doesn't look great. So you get some weird ones, like you get Tommy Doyle, okay? He's showing up as like very impressive here. Curtis Jones, Enzo Fernandez, Matheus Nunes. So I'm wondering why it's pulling some of these guys up. But I'm wondering about certain aspects of how it's pulling them based on the abilities that I've added. I wonder if it's like, I wonder what happens if I do this. It's cool. Yeah, I have to figure some stuff out with it, like how it all works. But like, yeah, essentially, you can do this for like any position. I don't know. I'll play with it more later on, but yeah, I mean, if you're just doing like the basics, it's gonna show you like the best midfielders around are these guys. So yeah, I gotta figure it out a little bit. You can see it kind of looks like this, like progressive ball winning and progressive DMs. Like it's got these really cool charts and archetypes, and I want to mess with it a lot more. And see how's it measuring and what's it measuring off of. And I'm curious because I don't actually know. I would want to look at like I don't know what season this is actually pulling data from, to be quite honest. That's one of the things I don't know. Oh, you know why Casemiro wasn't showing up, by the way. I have the age set. So like that's why, by the way. I had the age at 27. So if you're saying, hey, it wasn't very good because we weren't seeing Casemiro here, watch. I bet you I can get Casemiro to show up. Let's find out, because that would be an interesting test of whether we've got it or right or not. Let's see if we can get Casemiro to show up if I increase the age. Let's see where we can get Casemiro to show up. Because how old is he? Posits. The work guard. Well, now you're getting like Baleba, Ndidi, Gana. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I still have to figure some stuff out here. Let's go with this. We've gone to 34. So we got Ndidi showing up because we're on 34. There's Casemiro. There you go. Look at that. We got him to show up. So I do rate it because, yes, statistically, Casemiro is one of the higher rated players for defensively. So you can see, like, yeah, these would be your destroyers. Caicedo, Weaver, Casemiro. Now, some of them have other qualities. Caicedo. So, like, yeah, Weaver, Baleba, Norgard. Like, these are good players for their destructive abilities. You look at, like, Norgard, why wasn't he showing up? Because his ball retention is in like 25th percentile before, right? If we look at Casemiro, you'll see the same problem. His ball retention's out the bottom. So when I selected somebody who had good ball retention, he was being eliminated as well from that measure. So I think it's working because this matches my eye test. Good in the air, good tackling, anticipation mediocre, ball retention down, playmaking ability, deep build-up, crossing, progressive passing. This does look like Casemiro. So, yeah, it's from last year. Okay, so fair. So, like, this tells me last year, this does match Casemiro's archetype to me. If I look at Baleba, it tells me he's not much of a passer. Don't care about that. Take-on ability is tops. Good, I like that. Let's see. His long passing is okay. Okay. Finishing, don't care, but it's high. And his ball winning is exceptional. Aerial. So I look at this and I go, yeah, based on this tool, I see why we want Baleba. He fits every single characteristic of what I would care about from a 6. He's not even shabby as an 8, but he does fit every characteristic as a 6. Every characteristic. So it makes a lot of sense. So anyway, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I put the link in the chat. I'll do it again so you guys can take a look if you want and just kind of mess with it. And You can always feel free to give any feedback and everything. But yeah, it's cool. It's very cool. I like it a lot. It seems like it's a very useful tool to be looking at things and see things in the way that in a different way. And I think we'll find that a lot of fun to look at through the season and everything as well. But yeah, so some stats stuff. So this, we go back to the team thing really quick. We'll go back to this kind of stuff week in and week out and compare these charts and see how we're doing. That's one of the things I want to do every single week, maybe in the midweek, like Wednesday or Thursday live. Go back to those, to those plots and say, how are we doing? If I go to top 5 leagues, how are we doing? That's my curiosity. Like, how are we actually doing? Because right now, if you look at it in general, we're one of the best pressing sides in all of Europe. Left is good, right? And we have one of the highest XG. Does that continue? How does it go? So we'll come back to this each week, take a look at everything. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about just some of the debate over like team selections and things like that, because I see that, there's I see some interesting stuff, like some interesting commentary about the team selections. Like, for example, we know obviously right now that Bayindir is going to be starting tomorrow, on Sunday rather. And we look at it and say, well, what the hell? We just bought a new keeper. We've seen the mistakes from Bayindir. What's going on here? Like, what is going on with this? And then you get the same kind of discussion over Šeško, and it's like, and I saw some things like being discussed that are like, well, he wanted experienced striker, like I saw some things like, oh yeah, well, he wanted Watkins and Martinez, and that's why these players aren't starting. Well, I don't think that's particularly fair to say, like, because it feels like it's another assumption. It feels like it's another one of those assumptions of like that is made if you want to have something to needle Ruben Amorim with for why they're not being selected, to make it as something like some split here. Could he have preferred Ollie Watkins and Martinez? He might have, because he might have felt, the team's worse off and I need more impact players, of course. That's not why they're not being selected. Like, yes, if Emi Martinez was bought, would he have started this weekend? Probably. Why? Because he's fucking played in the Premier League for like 8 seasons, man. That's why. Because he's a proven international who's won the World Cup. That's why. Because he has more experience. It's reversed. Like, they're not being picked because they're not ready, not because he didn't want them. That's why. Benjamin Šeško will start soon when he feels he's ready. And it's not a personal agenda that is determining why these players aren't starting. It's really that simple. Like, no matter what we think about it, no matter what we think or what we want, or when I sit there and say, hey, I would have thrown Lammens in the deep end myself. I would have started Lammens. It's my opinion. But there's no grand conspiracy. And there's no, like, one of the things I think that goes off is that people assume that the football club and the coach and stuff think like we do about things, right? Sorry that alert didn't show up, but I did see that, CJ. I did see that. I think that is something we'll definitely consider taking a look at. Hold on, let me get this alert to show up so that next time if somebody does it does show up. There we go. No, but look, like they'll have time. No. It's not about being good enough. And it's not about the pressure. Like, people are thinking, oh, well, he's not starting because of the pressure. No. Here's all that's happening. It's really, really simple. Ruben Amorim runs the training. He sees the players in training. Do they look good enough for him? Do they look like they're ready to play? He's picking on who he's going to start on the basis of, do they have the time to fit into the tactics of the team And are they training well? I'll give you the example of that is Mason Mount. Why does Mason Mount keep getting picked when he's fit? Like, we started the season surprised. Like, why is Mount starting over Benjamin Šeško? Because essentially that's the choice, right? The first few weeks, Mount over Šeško. That was the choice that was made the first 3 games of the season. Because in theory, you would have done Cunha, Mbumo, and Šeško. Mount is the odd player that's fitting into there. Why is Casemiro starting over Ugarte? That wasn't how it was last year. The simple answer is, based on what he's seen so far in working through a new system, that's who's impressed him the most. That's who's getting it the most. That's who's matching up with the system the most. But it's only been a few weeks. It's only been a few weeks. We haven't had long. Mason Mount is also, for what it's worth, every single manager ends up picking him because he's probably one of the most intelligent players in football. And you can see it in the way that he plays, the movements, the things like that. That's why he keeps getting picked, because he gets it. He gets it. He gets the team. He gets what we're trying to do. He understands the system. He plays within it. He does it all right. It's not like some terrible catastrophe, honestly, that people maybe think it is, to be starting behind Mason Mount. Because Mount is really damn good at what he does when he can play. One player is learning and one player is exactly. And the thing is, when you go out in the market and you buy potential and you buy young and you buy guys who need to learn something and they have to come to a new country and they have to come in, and you also have to bear in mind Premier League experience. Something that Ruben Amorim rated really highly. That's why we bought Cunha and Mbumo. And look, they're in right away because they have Premier League experience. Because it takes time to adapt to the speed of the game, because the Premier League is more intense than most leagues. And it's a simple graph. One player might be here and they might be level. They're getting it. They've already got it. They're understanding the system. They're going along. Another player starting lower, so get on the same side. Šeško might be here, down here. Mount might be here. And Mount's going to go like this, and Šeško's going to go like this. And when that path intersects, they're going to play. They're going to play. And they're going to be selected every week. But there's a point where that path intersects, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's an expectation that those paths will intersect and that a player is going to improve. And it might be fitness, and it might just be a few more weeks in training, and it might be this, and it might be that, because their ceiling and where they can perform and all of that might be fine. And it's not about them not looking good. It's that you're not expected to look good. You could be, let me put it this way. Like, let me give you an example, right? You could be the best basketball player on earth. No, let's do it this way. You could be the best American football player on earth, and then someone says, oh, go play rugby.
Who is the best partner alongside Baleba?
Who's the best partner alongside Baleba? I would still say, we could go back and look at that in a minute. I still think it's Elliot Anderson, but I want to measure that in a minute. But like, it's like there's time, and I've got my drawing out, so I'm gonna do it. Like, imagine Mount is here, and he's like going along, and I know you can't see it yet. It's like this. Can you see it? Mount and Šeško. You see? Mount might be starting a bit higher because he gets it. He's played in the system longer. He's been there longer. He's been a part of the team. He's been in the Premier League longer. Šeško might be starting at a lower point. This is the intersection where the team selection changes, right there. And at a point, it's going to intersect, and it's going to go over it, and then he's going to play. And then he's going to start every single game at that point in time. That's normal. Because why is he lower? What are the reasons that Benjamin Šeško is starting lower? Because again, I think people see it as simplistic. And this is why every single week we've noticed when we're unhappy with the lineup, we play good football. We play good football because he's picking based on players who are getting it, who are understanding the role and the job better than the other players. And the same goes for like Kobbie Mainoo. Kobbie Mainoo might be at some point better than somebody else, but maybe he's not getting this. I can tell you for a fact, at least in watching the games, he's probably not getting it as much as some others might be in terms of his skill set at this point. That's totally fine. He has the time to improve upon that. But the same goes for Bayindir. He might be looking and saying, okay, hold on a second. There's corners, there's saves, there's passing, and all of those have to do with the system. So I might say, well, okay, Bayindir's got like one more, Lammens might be better on corners right away, but Bayindir's better at a few things. So Bayindir's up here, and we know where he's going to go. Lammens is a little below it, and as soon as he gets this passing, he's going to get over the top. And at that point, he's going to play. Maybe it's a fucking week. Maybe it's 2 weeks. Maybe it's 3. I'll tell you when I would worry. By the next international break, if like Šeško isn't starting regularly, I would start to worry. For me, it's like, it's a few weeks. It's a few weeks. But it is, it is a few weeks. Cunha and Mbeumo had the whole preseason, basically, to be with the team. You know what I mean? Mounts had the whole preseason, to get in there. It does take a little bit of time, and a lot of players have improved over time, but you have to be able to show it in training. Look, I think Lammens is probably better.
Is it worth spending 150, 160 mil for Anderson and Balbo in 2026?
Probably, Jason. Like, if you're going to lose Bruno in the near future, isn't it? Why not? Like, let's say next year. Okay, we could get into that debate in kind of a second, since obviously that's a topic of interest, Jason. But like, imagine if we were going to spend 200 million, what do we need to improve in the team? I like our forwards. I like the back line at the moment. We might need one more center back. I would spend it all on the midfield first. I'd spend every cent and say, let's get our new Bruno and Casemiro, which could be Baleba and Anderson, and with Kobbie as maybe one of those guys too. Why not? I mean, Anderson, we'll see how his season goes. It's a long year. But like, if Bruno's not going, no. If Bruno's not going, I would just get Baleba. If Bruno stays and you have Bruno and Kobbie, just get Baleba. That's fine. It's enough for me. And then let's fix up the rest of the team and we'll replace Bruno later, or maybe Kobbie replaces him and you don't need to. But in the immediate, if Bruno was going, yes, I'd spend. If Bruno leaves, I would spend our first 150 million on the midfield. 2 top midfielders, just boom, put the money down. 150, 160, 175, 200, like, all of that. Just go put the money down. And just fix the midfield, because I think then we'll upgrade the midfield, I should say. Upgrade the midfield. No, I really think Baleba's a 6. When I look at the profiling of him, I think he's a 6. I think he can be an 8, but I think he's a 6. But I think he's a 6 and a 2, not a 6 and a 3. I don't know how to explain that properly, to be quite honest. But yeah. I think he fits a 6 in our system or an 8, but I think he'd be better as a 6 with a good 8 next to him. It is a lot, but we have the money. If we're in Europe, we could go spend it. Like, what else do we really need? You know what I mean? Like, here's the question that I would have on this. What else do we really need? Like, where are we doing this crazy underperformance anywhere else? We're not even particularly underperforming in the midfield, to be quite honest. It's mostly out of possession. Where are we underperforming otherwise on the pitch? You could argue maybe Dorgu needs to get going. But like, CCB, to a degree. I mean, De Ligt's had a really good start to the year. I was much more high on like rush out and get a central center back till De Ligt's start to the season was really good. Left wing back, yeah. We'll see how Dorgu does this year. What if Dorgu does take off and kick in? You know what I mean? Because he still hasn't been here very long. I think it's mostly depth, right? Who's the left wing back we could go get like immediately? That would blow everybody away. I mean, you look at Ait Nouri, who was like really highly rated. He went to City. He's struggling to start the year and got injured. Kirkez went to Liverpool struggling and got injured. Like, sometimes that step up, not injured, but struggling, sometimes that step up is rough. Like that step up in one of those wide positions to that step up to one of those wide positions in the league is hard, man. I think Semenyo would be like one of the only players I would be like, yeah, you could stick him in at wing back and he'd probably go flying right off the bat. But I want to see what happens with I'm not convinced Dorgu won't 100% make it. I think Dorgu's going to make it by season's end. I think the better we get, the better he will be. I do like Anthony Robinson. I know we're not allowed because we're American, right? But I really do like Robinson. I do also think he'd be very, very good. So yeah, Semenyo's like one of them. That Norwegian guy from right back. To look into it, but that's another name. But like, genuinely, I think that, genuinely, I think that, what I'm saying is this: we know we need a midfielder, right? I don't think we actually know whether we need a wingback yet, personally. Oh, Nusa, that's the one. I don't think we know whether we need a starting wingback yet, because I still think Dorgu will get there by the end of the season. I've seen a lot of things to like. I know he had some struggles a little bit, but I also see a lot of that being a team issue. The wingbacks, they need help from the team, and I think we didn't have that before. He's got to improve a couple things, but I think he'll get there. And I actually think Ahmad at right wingback is perfect. I've been saying that for years. I absolutely love it. I think what we saw between Ahmad and Mbumo against Burnley is the model for how this team should look like. Very attacking, very devastating. And I think it'll be so hard to deal with. Imagine, like, when they're going, there is no team on the planet, I think, that could defend against Mbumo and Ahmad running at people on that side. Nobody. In that matchup, I think there's nobody who can. So I'm still very, very high on that in general. But yeah, look, I think Dorgu will be fine before the end of the season. But yeah, look, again, going back to the selection issue, like, again, it's only been a few weeks. Let's see what happens on Sunday. But just also bear in mind, like, it's not in a vacuum. Like Benjamin Šeško, why should he be starting over Cunha and Mount? In theory, it's because, he's the natural striker doing striker things. But like, I'll say from this, look, I'm going to say something about him that I said before we signed him, and plenty of other people have since then kind of agreed with this analysis of him, and it's not like this big knock on him. Benjamin Šeško isn't that good at number 9 things yet. The way he plays as a 9 is kind of the same as the way Cunha plays as a 9, but Cunha's just been with the team for the whole preseason and more experience. Like, what Šeško is good at has been picking the ball out of the air, dropping in, winning the duels, laying it off to other players. He hasn't really, in the minutes he's had so far, done much like number 9 stuff. The one thing he did, which I want to see a hell of a lot more of, which we know he can do, is got on the end of a couple crosses and flying leaps in the air. I want to see more of that for sure. He's not that good at number 9 stuff yet. I said this before we signed him. It was my one concern, and I said it's going to take him some time to learn that. If he was really good at number 9 stuff as of yet, he would be starting. But at the moment, he's not offering you much different. To what Cunha offers you in the 9 right now. He's not really running the channels like amazingly as of yet. He's doing a lot of link up and things like that as well. He's not really doing number 9 things yet. He's not playing that difference to Xerxes at the moment. I'm just saying. And it's not a criticism. Bear in mind, like I said, I like to look at where players really are when we sign them and acknowledge their flaws, because then I'm not surprised by it. So when he gets on and he's not like an insane fox in the box, and when he gets on and he's not blitzing the channels left and right extremely well, and he's kind of dropping in a little bit more, I was expecting that. So at the point is that he's got to learn to do more of those to place himself as higher value than Cunha and Mount. You see what I'm saying? Like, if they're all offering the same thing in training, well, Cunha and Mount are better at that than him, are better at the things he's doing than him at this point in time. He will be able to do things they can't. Mount will never be a pacey channel runner, no matter how hard he tries. No matter how hard he tries, Mount will never be a pacey channel runner. He won't. Šeško can be, but he's not yet. He doesn't do it enough yet. That's what we're looking for. Remember, I spent the whole preseason doing all this analysis on strikers talking about this power forward. Šeško's not doing power forward things when he comes on. You know who is Mbumo. That's who's doing it. You can see we need that runner, that outlet to run into the channels. And when we get somebody doing it, we're finding them. He's just got to learn it. And so it can take him time to learn it, because if we're asking for someone to do A, B, and C, and he's good at B and C, but so is Cunha and Mount. Well, Cunha and Mount are older, more experienced, Premier League established players. So, of course, they're better at the moment, but what they can't do that he can do is A. He has the tools to do A, right? But he's not really doing A yet. Once he can do A, then he has more value than these other players. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not an insult. It's like, I was trying to think of an analogy there, but it's like, this is just the reality of how it works. Like, it's the same I would say with Casemiro, okay? What we're getting out of Casemiro, why he's starting over like a Kabi or a Ugarte at the moment, is his distribution, his passing, and his defensive anticipation. Now, he's never going to be a ground coverer, right? But right now, his passing and anticipation has been viewed as, by Ruben Amorim, as more important of the traits. He'll never be a ground coverer. But if Ugarte could become a solid passer and a good defensive anticipator and not make mistakes, he would play because he can offer that extra thing. But for now, he can't, and he's not offering that. If Kabi could offer a defensive anticipation and long passing, he would play because he can cover more ground. But he's not, as of yet, offering more in those areas. So they've got to offer something else much better in the area that's valued, and that's what Šeško is not doing yet at United. Will he? Yes, because he has the ability to do so. He has the pace. He has the pace. He has the physical tools. You know, he has all of that, right? He has it. That's why he was signed, because he certainly can be that guy, but he's not yet. And and that, I think, is just him learning the role. Because I said at Leipzig, this is just my preference about this, is why I prefer a player who's already doing it. Because at Leipzig, they were in this two-striker system. They were having Openda doing the deep runs and Šeško dropping deep. So he's got to change his habits from last season and stop being the deep dropper and be the outlet ball, right? That's essentially the goal of it. So it's fine. It's totally fine because he has those tools and those abilities, but he's just got to open that up. He's got to add something different. That's all. He's just got to be able to offer that. And at the moment, what he's offering is very similar to what Mount and Cunha offer. He's dropping deep, linking up play, and it's good to see him do that because he's good at it. Having that in his game is exceptional because then he can become an all-rounder. If he was just a channel runner, like take Gyökeres, for example, okay? Gyökeres is running the channels quite well for Arsenal. That's how he got his couple goals in that game. He's running the channels quite well for Arsenal. It's still a weird match because they don't really use channel runners. They don't really send the ball in. He's good at that, but he's terrible dropping deep, picking the ball up, bringing others involved, worse than I thought he would be, to be quite honest. He's worse at that. So he's good at A, really bad at B and C, right? He's bad at those things. Well, the positive with Šeško is that he's good at B and C, which is what Mount and Cunha are offering you at the moment, and he can do A. So Šeško has the potential to be a much better striker than Gyökeres, even if technically he could, you could take someone like Gyökeres, who's a channel runner, drop them in, and they might be doing what we want from a striker more today. Šeško has the ability to be better as an all-rounder. He can be all three of the things that we would need. At the moment, he's not, and he will be. He needs to just do more striker things. That's all. Like, that's it. He just needs to do more striker things. I'm not the only one who says this. I'm not the only one who thinks this. I'm not the only one who's observed this, but it's about being realistic. I'm not criticizing him. I said all this before we signed him or when we were starting to sign him, and it was like, I'm going to be realistic about where he's at because it's going to take time for him to improve and become the guy we need him to be. And that'll be fine. And he will get there because he does have the pace. He does have the physical ability. He's got the aerial ability. I want to see him do more striker things. Right now he's playing like a 9.5, become a 9. And then you will become the 9 when you become a 9. If you become the 9, you'll become the 9. You know what I mean? That's how it works. That's how it works. It's that's all that's needed from him. For Lammens, it's been fucking 9 days. 9 days since he arrived. 10 days? Maybe it's like 10 days. It's been 10 days since he's arrived. Not disagreeing with you, but personally can't even form an opinion. Look, I'm just saying what we've seen from him so far, but I'm also just using the basic logic of it. When he's come on, he's not really been doing the I've got it. Someone said Pythagorean theorem, so I'm going to draw you a triangle, okay? And it's like, here we go. Oh yeah, this is perfect. Nice. That looks absolutely horrific. Never mind. Cancel it. My drawing was No, you know what? I got it. All right. Let's say we've got build up. Possession and runs. Number 9 runs. All right. Let's say we've got build up, possession, and runs, and number 9 runs. So like Mount and Cunha both do this really well, and they're kind of crap here. So they're like this. Okay? And they're never going to be good over here. They're never going to get to do the runs. Right now, Šeško's just doing the same thing, but slightly worse. If he can start making the runs, then he's going to add something of more value. That's it. Anyway, a terrible drawing. It's not visualizing like I want it to be. But anyway, he could be the equilateral triangle, He could be the equilateral triangle while the other two are like short and fat triangles. But right now, he's also a short, fat triangle for the number 9. But he could be the everything guy later on. He'll get there. For Lammens, he's been here 10 days. That's all. He needs, he might be better at one thing, but passing, how the build-up patterns work, where he needs to pass the ball, that's something Bayindir has done really well. The one thing he actually has done really well is those passing and the build-up plays and things like that, even though he's been making a lot of other mistakes. So I have a little smudge. Yeah, I know it's dirt from working, and I didn't want to change. It is what it is. Isosceles. I always think of an isosceles as like a tall triangle, but I suppose you're right. No, because it only has... No, yeah, anyway, it doesn't matter. Just saying. It's all good. Once Lammens understands how to play within the team and the passing and all of that, I think it'll be better. Because what you don't want to happen is that you have your goalkeeper come in and make passing mistakes right off the bat and put you under pressure. We've seen that. One of the reasons why Bayindir has actually helped us more than Onana this season so far, being under less pressure, is because he's passing the ball better. He is not putting us back under pressure by losing it so easily in the build-up. You can put yourself under too much pressure by losing the ball in build-up, like Onana was. That is a huge part of football. That's a huge part of. Look, I'm just gonna say it's an underrated aspect of how Bayindir's actually done well this season, and one of our improvements. If you were to look at like last season, a lot of the games we struggled. Go watch how many times ball goes back to Onana, boop, goes to the opposition, back to Onana, boop, goes to the opposition, back to Onana, boop, goes to the opposition. Watch it against Grimsby, back to Onana, oop, to the opposition, back to Onana, oop, to the opposition. It's crazy. It's insane. One of the reasons we've actually looked better the first 3 games of the Premier League is because we've actually been able to pass the ball out the back semi-successfully from the keeper. Even when he goes long, he's reaching the right guy. Even when he goes long, we're tending to retain possession and win the second balls because they're not going totally out of play. You know? So I can understand why that aspect of it would be valued. Because let's say Lamens is dynamite on corners. Okay, fine. Good. I want that. I don't want those mistakes anymore. But what if he gives the ball away 10 more times from goal kicks? Well, then we're going to be under a lot more pressure from open play and other situations. So even if you're better at certain other aspects, you don't want to be under pressure. Ruben Amorim's made the comment a few times about the keeper shouldn't be having to do a lot of this kind of stuff, like the saves and the corners and things like that. And that's, I think, is speaks to his view. Like, he really values the passing that Bayindir has done, which I think has been well above average for a keeper this year. And is the biggest reason to me Onana shipped, because he can't fucking pass. I mean, that Grimsby game, the goals aside, he's slipping while passing the ball, kicking it straight out of play, chipping it over the wing back, passing it out every fucking time he passes the ball. That's why he's not playing, less than the mistakes, because Bayindir's made them too. Every time Onana got on the ball, he would give it back to the opponent. That ruins the way you want to play football. It's absolutely terrible. So understanding the system, so you know where the people you need to be in the build-up are, you know, the inverted center back, when they're going to time the runs, when they're going to move, where you're going to do all of these things, is important, and that does take time to learn. As well. So I think Lamens will get there. But, you know, for this week, it'll be Bayindir, who's more familiar with things. So the selection stuff is fine. Give it a rest. Someone asked what earlier, I think it was, who was the best partner for who was it? For Baleba. And I wanted to just go look and see what the suggestions were. What do you guys think? Can we go look and see what the suggestions were? We probably won't see like Elliot Anderson because his stats weren't particularly amazing last year. But let's look at that briefly, and then we're going to do our vote. And go into all of that. But let's see. If we were to pick a center mid who, what would we want? Decent progressive passing, decent dribbling, decent long ball. They don't need to be too deep involved. Ball winning can be lower. Ball retention should be good. Carrying ability, okay. Crossing, decent. Playmaking, decent. Finishing, decent. All of that, decent. So it's almost like an attacking midfielder. I think they still need to be a good tackler, though. So we really need like a pretty much like almost like a 50-50-er, don't we? Aerial ability could be a little lower. We really want like a balanced player. Am I wrong? I'm thinking. We just I'm trying to think, like, we just really want a balanced midfielder for that second position. You know, they don't have to be amazing if they have a really good 6 next to them. Tom Kearney. 33 years old. Interesting how that shows up like that. Let's change the age. Eunice, welcome. Let's go for 28. Let's drop the crossing. Let's drop the age so we can get it right. So we want somebody. We could get somebody in their prime. Curtis Jones. Diego Gomez. Oh, you know what I need to do? Because it's for last season. We need to crank this up to like 20. Oh, it's freaking out. Well, let's crank the minutes, the 90s played. Calm down, calm down. Let's crank the minutes up. I don't want someone who's done like 5 starts. There you go. So like, yeah, for example, Yuri Tielemans actually is spot on, I think, as an example here. Tonali as well. So I think we're getting the filter about right. What do you guys think with that? Like, Tielemans would be very, very good in this. So I would tend to. There's Andre again. Yep. I think this is the right list. I think we've nailed it now. Here, let me do this, and then you can see the 5. Papa Sarr, Andre, Sarr, Tielemans, Tonali. I think we've got the right measure of the type of player that you'd want for the 8. I think you do. Because this is if I was to look at these players, I instantly go, makes sense. Makes sense. Yep, makes sense. Enzo Fernandez, McAllister, Declan Rice. Yeah, this is the right measure. You know what I mean? So let's say we go young. Let's say we go under 23s to try to eliminate some of the more established players and say, who would we get as an 8 from based on last season of the less established players? Like, who are good young players who fit the bill? Andre, again, Sarr, Elliot Anderson. There you go. This is it. This is the measure. This is the measure. Anderson, Andre, Enzo. You know, we can't sign all of these guys, but you know, yeah, we're getting the measure right. If you look at the match percentage, I mean, Curtis Jones does actually fit it, much as I would hate to say that. If we go by Z score, I'm curious who's that. Let's drop the number. Let's drop the number of 90s because we went really young. Hold on, let me do this again. Because I dropped... Oh, shit. It didn't... Hold on. My bad. Hold on one second. Let me drop the number of 90s because we went a lot younger. So we could look at maybe some more up-and-coming players. You know what I mean? In that case. Like, who does anybody new show up here? Bergvall. I mean, this is the right measurement then. If Bergvall is showing up there, it is the right measurement. Unfortunately, you know, there's a lot of players already snatched up. Yarmouk, man. Kabi, there you go. He's showing up. So what is it saying about Kabi? What does it say Kabi's strengths and weaknesses are? Like, why is it not loving him? Well, his progressive passing is near the bottom, but we didn't value that too much. His tackling's good. Ball retention is good. His finishing is apparently low. It's interesting that it says his finishing low. I wonder what that is. I mean, there must be a reason for that. So he just wasn't rated particularly highly on a ton of things, but we're finding the right ideas here. Interesting. But I like the list. I mean, Yarmouk, Andre, Bergvall, these are players that I would say who are near the top of it. If you went to League and then looked for players who started a lot more games because they tend to start a bit younger in France. Let's go up. Let's get 20 starts under 23s. Let's see who would be good in the 8s. I do like João Gomez as well. João Neves. And that tells you we've got the right measure of the players. Zaire Emery. Kamara. That's another one people have been talking about. Andre Santos. Another one people have been talking about. So, yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's interesting. I'll have to see. I'm going to dig into this more and probably do some videos on it. Because, you know, yeah. Kamara, yeah. Interesting. It's cool. So this is called the Lens app. Okay. Is somebody made it? It's pretty cool. It can do other positions. So if we were to go like, hey, what do we want? We want a defender. Let's say we wanted to get a new center back this season. Ball winning, high anticipation, decent box defender, good ball retention, good long passing. Don't care as much about carrying. Don't care as much about crossing. Good tackler. Very good in the air. Let's say like very good in the air because I have to step up. Top passer. Good in the build-up involvement. I don't really care about take-on ability. I don't really care about playmaking. Let's say I wanted to look at someone under the age of 28. Position. Center back. Premier League. Let's see. So a really good tackler who's really good on the ball and in the air. The Barnier, that makes sense. Kilman. And then this guy. Van Heck. I mean, what do you think about this list? Seems good to me. Can we go get one of these guys? Can we go get Van Heck? Zabarny is very good. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, I want to play with this more. It's pretty cool. I quite like it. Anyway, that was that. We'll have to play with this a lot more and scout some of the names we're being linked to, profile them, look at how they're rated, all of that as well. But that's very, very interesting to me. The solution for that might not be in the Premier League. It might not. It might be very expensive to buy one from the Premier League. Might be. Yeah. Van Heck. What the heck? What the helly? Yeah, look, you got to watch players too. Don't get me wrong. But we're trying to look at stats. You know, you look at stats and you say, who fits it from a model standpoint? And then you go watch them and you say, are they good enough? That's the question. That's what you've got to look at. But I like to use it to compare. Yeah, Zabarny's at PSG now. Yeah, that's right. He got snapped up. Let's do the team vote. Let's do our team vote. Let's do it. And then we're going to compare to what you guys picked last week. And then we're going to compare to the following. And then we'll kind of discuss it a little bit more. Did you talk about the two players on trial at all? No, I didn't, but good question. I've seen some people ask on that. I would assume it's potentially true. I mean, there was supposed to be more players that we were looking at in that vein of those like Kone type of signings this summer. We got Diego Leon in. We tried to get a few guys from the rest of the Premier League for the youth levels. They even came through, did some tours and things like that, and ended up not joining. So we were still very interested in getting more. I'll dig into this a little bit, but I actually expect it's true. I did miss a new member. It disappeared though. Welcome to the Pro Muppet, and then it says message retracted. I can't even see who that is. Did they refund already? Was it that bad that quickly? I apologize if I missed your message. It's people have calmed down on the text to speech. I'm missing it now. I'm used to reading a lot more messages of, you know what, when we get to the games, we're going to see a lot more, aren't we? When we get to Sunday, we'll see a lot more on Sunday. We will. Anyway, let's see here. Need Enzo Canabiak. Yes, right. He needs to be playing. That's right. We still have him out there. That's the other one we did as well. Let's get to the vote. Striker, guys. Who are we looking at for striker this week? I think I know the answer, especially because our options are limited. We know Sir Jim watches your videos, James, as per previous episodes. Scouting data analyst job on the horizon. I'll be honest, ma'am. I would happily offer my assistance, but I'm not sure that I'm qualified for that. And I think that maybe if the club wanted me to do a job being better as a PR, to explain what the club is doing, because I do it even without them telling me, and properly explaining what's happening in a way that people can get and can understand, might be the better job. So something, if they ever decide they want help with that, then I'll happily do it because I do it anyway for free because I think I understand what's going on and try to communicate it effectively. The super chat you missed asked about the midweek friendlies. I saw that before and I did comment on it. I think it is something they'll look at, but I think that probably it's going to be a very minor thing, if anything. Usually they do a lot of closed door types of stuff, but I don't think we'll be flying around halfway across the world for games in the middle, All right, so at striker, we've got Šeško. That's no surprise there. Who you want. Remember, who do you want? Not who do you think. Who do you want? Who do you want to play in these positions? Not who do you think. Who do you want to play in these positions? Very important. I'm trying to gauge fan sentiment. United would be very wise to not hire. You feel like you help them more doing what you do. Probably, to be fair, probably true. It's better that I do it independently and I actually have no there's no I don't know. There's no mixed thing in there. I'm just doing it because I understand it and have good intentions for it. That's all. Ooh, this is tight. I'm surprised so many people voting Bruno. I don't want to influence it. I'm curious. I'm just surprised. I'm surprised at all the Bruno voters today. In the 10? I guess people probably want that midfield we talked about yesterday. Wait a minute. What, Smokey? What did I say? Didn't you do team vote? No, I just showed what I wanted the team to be yesterday. I just showed my idea yesterday. You want Mainu to play with Casemiro? That's fair. I mean, if that's what you guys want. Hold on. Just interrupting my dogs from distracting and destroying the neighborhood. I think we got to get Xerxes on the pitch, man. I think we need Xerxes on the pitch, but Shea Lacey on the bench. Let's think about that. Let's say it's who would be on the bench? Šeško, Xerxes, Ugarte, Mainu or Šeško, Mazraoui, Maguire, Heaven, Lamens and Heaton, probably Leon and Fredrickson, I would say. Probably not Shea Lacey, but I have no idea, actually. Mainu Casemiro. Yeah, I would never run Mainu Casemiro as a midfield, personally. It's like the least possible legs in the midfield against City. That feels shaky to me. I just don't like Bruno in the 10 at all. I hate it, actually. I've begun to hate it. I had the exact opposite opinion last year, but now that I see the system going, I don't want Bruno in the 10 ever. No runners in front of him, then he's just useless. We conceded 2 goals against Burnley in 11 minutes when Bruno was in the 10. But hey, your vote. It's your funeral when this happens. Fair enough. I'm assuming the right 10 is Mbumo. But let me just cast a vote just in case. I'm assuming this is like one of those nailed on positions. All right, that's that. There is no need to continue. Let's go left wing back. I don't know, Maz, maybe, like, oh, I don't know, just give some here. We didn't concede them goals because of Bruno. I am not saying it was because of Bruno, but it certainly was a factor. The disorganization in the midfield was problematic. It was very bad, actually. I get that, what you're saying. I'm not saying Bruno cost us the goals. I'm talking about the way that the team was organized. There was just this gaping... I highlighted it in my tactics video, but the minute when Bruno was up there, he was sitting so deep, not doing runs, it allowed Burnley to set up a lot better. Because he's just not a 10 in the system. He doesn't run. He doesn't run like a 10. He doesn't run in behind. That's all. We struggled with possession more in that 10 minutes than we did in the rest of the game combined. It's just the reality. We there's other reasons for it, but he is like the quarterback in the 8, and he needs players in front of him. When he plays in the 10, he drops, and then there's fewer players in front of him, and then it just gets clogged up. It was getting very confusing between him and Kobe. All right, Dorgu, that's an easy win. You hope I never make it because I love your... You mean like get hired or something like that? It's fine. I like what I'm doing. I like what I'm doing. Let's go with the 8. So then you guys are going to want Kobe or Ugarte here to match up with someone. It wasn't the dig out vids with Bruno. I actually credited him a lot against Burnley. Quite the opposite.
What are your thoughts on Rovella from Lazio?
I've heard a lot about him, and I've watched some stuff at him, and it's one I just want to look into more. I just want to look into more. I worry a bit about Serie A players just because of the pace of the game coming over. It's so much slower. You know, they tend to be good, but at the same time, like, I'm not commenting on their abilities. It's just, I don't know, something about it. Well, they're actually hiring a new comms person at United right now, actually. So they are, but it's actually quite a... I don't want to downplay it. I know the people who've been in that job and spoken with them regularly, and they're really good people, but also it's a lot more than like what I'm talking about. Like it's kind of almost insulting. It's a serious job, man. Like it's a lot more serious than me sitting here shitting, talking shit on Twitter and YouTube and stuff like that about my opinions. It's much more professional. I can't even write properly, so maybe not qualified for that position, to be honest. They do crazy tons and tons of work. It's very high pressure. It's wild. All right, your guys' votes make more sense now. I get it. You guys wanted to see the Ugarte Kobe midfield again against just to hard work with Bruno still on the pitch. I get that. If you're gonna put Bruno in the 10, I think this makes a bit more sense. I get it. I hear you. Fair enough. We had the guy from the Sun doing that. Oh, you were talking about the guy from the Sun doing that was hired by Woodward or ever to like run stories or something like that. I know what you're talking about. That whole thing. Did I not dig out Bruno versus Fulham? Yes, he was an absolute disaster against Fulham. Against Burnley, he was very good. Like I said, in the 10, he was bad for 10 minutes. But in the 8, he was getting it. He can't do the 10 roll. I would not, he just can't. He just can't do the 10 roll. He doesn't dribble. He does not dribble the ball. He cannot be a 10 in this system. I'm shocked even to say it myself because I did not think that way. I'm not saying he can't like have a good game here or there in the 10 because he can, because he's got certain qualities that are incredible, but like he can't, he cannot play as a 10 in this system. He is better at the 8 than in the 10. He won't find, like, especially in a game where I want runners, I just don't want him there. I want him deeper, hitting the ball up to runners and doing. But anyway, it's whatever. That's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. I think he's starting to get it in the 8. That's all I would say. I think he's starting to get it. All right, this is where I'm curious. I'm quite curious of what people think about. No, Casemiro didn't win the poll. It says Ugarte 61%. Evan, Dallow's injured, dude. That's why I didn't include Dallow. I'm gonna stick Yoro here because you could go Yoro left, Maguire and De Ligt, even though I'm probably the only person who'd even think of doing that, but still. This is left center back. Dallow's injured. He cannot play. He's out. Maz, I'll give us an option on the right center back, but yeah. Shaw's been decent. Yeah, he was really good against Burnley as well. When I did the review of it, the players I thought were best against Burnley, I mean, there's a lot of good performances, but Shaw was really good, very aggressive. Mbumo, obviously, very good, very aggressive. Ahmad and Bruno would have been my best players in that game. We're going Shaw. I've made my case for Maguire against Haaland, but I would personally probably go De Ligt in this game, just because he's been good. Like, there's been no reason to change it. He's been good. Ryan, I'm Portuguese. Watched. Oh yeah, fair enough. I mean, you get it. I was sticking him out because I thought against Fulham because I thought he wasn't getting it against Fulham. Against Burnley, I really liked him in that deep position. When he gets too close to the goal, I think he gets frenetic and stuff. And then I also think he just needs runners in front of him. Does Martinez take over for Shaw when he returns? Really depends on his fitness. No, De Ligt 100% doesn't deserve to be dropped. He deserves to keep playing. So even with everything I've said, like I've said, my view of him has changed a lot in the first few games. He's been so good. He deserves to keep playing. He deserves to start. Right now, he's showing me things that nobody else does. The other thing he showed the other game against Fulham, and he did it against Burnley, which is huge to me, is the long pass. Being able to hit some runs in behind is really good. Really, really good. So then it's going to be Lenny, obviously. Now listen, when we get to the keeper vote, don't vote by India just because you know he's starting. This is what you want. I'm trying to measure fan sentiment. So if you would have preferred to hear that Lamens was starting, pick Lamens, please. Like, I don't want this to be skewed. You're not winning points for predicting the team correctly. The whole point of this exercise is who fans are rating at this point in time. That's the whole point of this exercise. So Lamens should win this quite handily, okay? It's not a prediction. Cool. Good job. You want Heaton? Heaton won the last vote, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So there you go. This is your guys' preferred 11 for this game. I think we discussed this yesterday and kind of settled on this is probably what we would do. I kind of changed my mind this morning, though, on a couple of things. You understand, Bruno. He gets overexcited, close to net, crazy quality, pure ball striker, he and Valverde. Yeah, I hear that. But yeah, I kind of changed my mind on a few things because yesterday I think that was the team we went over, and I was like, yeah, that's what I would do, But I changed my mind on a few things. I changed my mind on a few things. And I'm gonna get shit for it, but I did. I changed my mind on a couple of little things on it, but Yeah. So this was your team. Oh, hold on. Let me make sure I have the last week's pulled up here. Okay, cool. All right. This was last week. So last week you guys picked Bruno Cobby. Fuck were you guys doing, to be honest? Like, what were you guys thinking? People were losing. You know what happened was Grimsby happened. What the hell kind of team are you guys picking? See, you guys lost your head last week. Mbumo at wingback, Bruno and Mainu in the middle, Xerxes, Mount, Cunha front three, Heaven over here instead of Shaw, Tom Heaton in net. we 2 weeks ago. Guys, we were in the trenches. Oh shit, it disappeared. We were in the trenches, okay? 2 weeks ago. People lost their heads so much. I mean, it's an interesting team, don't get me wrong. But I think what happened was like Ahmad shit the bed against Grimsby, so it was like, nah, don't play Ahmad. Put Mbumo out there. And then it was like, well, this was a trauma response vote right here. This is crazy. And then when the team did came out, when the team did come out, everybody was like, it's gonna suck, we're gonna be terrible and all that. But no, it is funny because I remember thinking, yeah, some of this makes sense. Trauma. This is why I say we have trauma, man. We propose the wildest solutions, in moments of crisis. It's like, let's just do the craziest shit imaginable and fuck it all up. Like, this would have been terrible. Look at these guys. These guys were all three of these players would have sat in the middle of the pitch and we'd had no runs in behind and we would have lost against Burnley with that team, to be quite honest. But it's funny. Yeah, everyone is understanding it's not a predicted. Yeah. But this is funny. So this is yours this week. It makes a lot more sense. I rate this team. It's a good team. I went with this. I changed my mind on a couple of little things. I think this should be the front three either way. I went back and forth on the midfield. And I thought, who do I partner with Bruno? Do I partner Casemiro, Ugarte, or Cobby? I settled on Ugarte just because I want legs against City. That's all. And I think this still gives us enough quality all around. I still think the Bruno Ugarte midfield can work against these types of teams especially. I need Ugarte to get going and not stop making mistakes because I think he should be better than Casemiro. He should. He just has to stop making those errors because Casemiro offers very little off the ball. That worries me against City. And I think we need the most legs against City. That's why I went with Ugarte. That's the simple reason. But I need him to not fuck it up, not make mistakes. If he were to start, I don't think he's going to. But I can understand it. Like, again, really, you guys have made one different change to me, which is Xerxes versus Cobby. I just think Xerxes as a 10 is better because I want to keep Bruno deep. That's about it. That's really the only difference, is these flipped right here with Xerxes in. But I hear you guys too. I think yesterday I was saying I'd probably go with this, but yeah. That's about it. Yeah. If you're happy to surrender the ball against a team like City, but I don't think against a team like City, it doesn't really matter. You can let them have the ball and then hit them on the break, and that's when they're at their weakest. You know what I'm saying? But Casemiro has one of the worst ball retention rates in the team as well. He doesn't keep the ball. He launches it. So it's not really an argument about surrendering the ball. Like, honestly, I think the only thing keeping Ugarte out of the team is his mistakes. He's really not that bad otherwise when you're comparing him to Casemiro, but he just makes too many mistakes. That's really it. Like, he's just got to cut those mistakes out. That's the only thing keeping him out of the team right now is the mistakes. If he's competing with Casemiro for the 6, the only reason is Casemiro hasn't made those, hasn't made those obvious errors in recent times, even though I think every single game he makes more blatant ones that are just harder to see. But yeah, I worry about Casemiro trying to chase them around all game. I think he's going to be in trouble. That's my feeling on it as well. City are doing the high line thing. They don't have pace. Yeah, so we can beat them. So we just need to send the ball. We need to send the ball from Bruno. We need to hit the runners and all of that. So, yeah. So that was the team vote. Definitely changed a lot from the week prior, from 2 weeks ago. Yeah, very, very interesting stuff. One second. But yeah, that's it, guys. I mean, we've got a derby. Right after this video, we're like, maybe it just published. My Fantasy Premier League video has probably just been published. I think I had a scheduled tweet. Yeah, I did. It just came out a minute ago while I'm live. If you're enjoying fantasy, go do that. Go watch that video, like the general fantasy football and all of that I'm talking about. Then go do that. That's go watch that video. Tomorrow morning I'll put out my preview. Then I've got stuff to do through the day. I think around 2:00 tomorrow, maybe 1:30, I will do a around 1:30 tomorrow. I'll probably do another live look at like what's happened around the league, chat a bit more about the game and everything, and then my match preview will be out first thing in the morning, and then tomorrow I'll be live in the early afternoon, and then Sunday morning I'll be live for the lineup and discussion, and then we'll do the post match chat with fan view and all that kind of stuff, and hopefully we'll be happy. You had an angry Brit in your comments telling you to pronounce it Darby. I know. My preview coming tomorrow, I addressed that. And again, if you are interested, if you're interested in playing different fantasy, you can come and join me on Big Up for the other fantasy competition. You have to be in the UK or Spain. Come join. Cost a few bucks to enter. You compete against us. Pick your team. There's going to be updates. They've updated the feature actually, where while we're watching, it's going to be showing on the screen like when points get added and things like that. Should be a lot of fun as well. So yeah, this should be a fun one for the Derby, and you can win real money and all of that as well. Real prizes, cheap to enter. It's a lot of fun. If you've seen how bad I am at fantasy, then you know your odds are better. There's not a huge number of people. I mean, it's early, but you have until now, until kickoff. There's the link to join that and take part as well. So I would definitely recommend you come play. It's a lot of fun as well, and really getting it off the ground. And again, you can win. So that's it. What else? Anything else we wanted to talk about? We finally made it. I want to look at those stats again next week after the game, see how they've progressed from game week 4. Can we maintain, our level? But you know what I wanted to yap about? I wanted to briefly get on my soapbox about this "it's too early" thing, okay? Listen to me for a second. People are saying it's too early to talk about stats, but then saying he doesn't rate Šeško because he's not starting. It's too early to talk about stats, but he doesn't rate Lamens because he hasn't played him in one game. It's too early to talk about stats, but people were saying he should be gone after Fulham. What the fuck? Like this is why I don't buy it. This is my soapbox on this. This is where I'm at, all right? I'm watching people, after Fulham, people talking he should leave. But when you present positive stats, it's too early. These stats don't matter. Hold on a second. These ideas we need to align better, all right? We've got to be consistent in the way that we view things. Either they matter or they don't, right? If they don't matter to you, then you can't have been calling for concerns. Like, I'll give you an example, all right? I saw some accounts saying after 2 games, this whole Cobby stuff, saying he hates Cobby. We're ruining the academy record. We're going to get rid of the academy players. We don't value them. We're pushing them all out. All of that. After 2 games. But when you present stats, it's too soon. It is fully an agenda laden mess. You know what I mean? It is an agenda laden mess that is just like, generally speaking, like I responded sarcastically to someone in a comment because I posted the stats earlier, and then they said it's been 3 games. You can't say anything about that, and then here's the irony. Using data after 3 games doesn't show anything. I trust my eyes more than data after 3 games. That's fine. I said, in those 3 games, my eyes have told me we're pretty good in the Premier League too. In those 3 games, the stats agree. And it says, again, you can't use stats as a mean to justify anything in 3 games. In those 3 games, the levels increase simply because we have better players. There's a conclusion reached after 3 games that we're better because of players. It has nothing to do with the manager or the system. There's another conclusion made after 3 games. We're still suffering the same systemic issues we suffered last season. There's another conclusion made after 3 games. And I said, how can you make any of those claims when it's been 3 games? I think it went over their head, and the irony of the comment. But my point is that you've got all these negative conclusions being made after 3 games, but now positive ones. We can, like, it's like, well, we have all these system issues. We're seeing all the same problems as last year. Well, how can you say that after 3 games? How can you say that after 3 games? It's only been 3 games. Like, you just can't. We gotta be consistent. Be consistent. It's been enough games, but aside from that, it's been only 3 games. In those 3 games, United have been good. In those 3 games, United have been better than they were last season. In those 3 games, United have been a good pressing team. In those 3 games, United have created a lot of chances. We haven't played any other games. So, in the games we've had to play in the Premier League, United have done what they're supposed to do from a performance standpoint. They've created good chances. They've pressed well. They've got lots of shots off. They've produced. Hopefully we can continue. Hopefully we can continue with that. But for what we're supposed to have seen so far, we've done well in those 3 games. That's the only conclusion. So anyway, that's my soapbox. That was it. I just had to comment on it because it still drives me nuts. I've been talking about all these 2 weeks, the rebuild and everything. Anyway, we're done. That's it for today's video. Watch the FPL one. Watch the preview in the morning. I'll be back live tomorrow. We can see how all the other games go and see if the 4th week has a huge impact on the way that other teams are playing and how they're doing. And that's it. And then we'll be back on Sunday for the real match. Make sure to go join the fantasy, the watch-alongs, all sorts of stuff like that. In the meantime, otherwise, I will be back tomorrow to see you all around 1:30 my time. So that's like 8:30 at night. Okay? Have a good one, everybody. Good evening. Good night. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy the football tomorrow, and I'll see you later. Okay? Have a good one. Goodbye. Do 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 do.